Hello and welcome back to Polytoots. If you're one of my subscribers, you're probably a bit confused right now because you've probably seen something that looks a lot like this, and that's because I've done this tutorial before using Amplify Shader Editor, but I've had a few requests to convert it over to Unity's ShaderGraph. And to be fair, I think even in that tutorial I did say that it was possible, so it's kind of my fault. But a few people have had some problems, so I thought I would just make one. We're going to make this one actually. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just kind of get started. So I'm just going to delete that plane and let's just get a new plane in here. I do have some lights in here, that's why you see this crazy stuff. So let's just go ahead and create a new shader, PBR graph, and then we'll just click on that to open it. And I am going to just get some stuff set up here first, just to save a little bit of time. Just basically the base albedo and normal and smoothness. So yeah, you don't need to see that. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you're like super new to this, then basically I've just created some properties up here, some vector 1s, texture 2Ds, and some colors, which your texture 2Ds will be plugged through a sample texture 2D because that's the way ShaderGraph works. I'm multiplying my albedo just with a color property, and I have like the tiling set here for both of them, so it's the same. But yeah, so that's just the initial setup. It has nothing to do with the rain ripples, so that's why I kind of skipped over it. But anyway, let's create ourselves a material, and that'll do. So we'll put this on there. Yeah, so let's just feed in some textures, and I'm going to use the trusty floor tile, and should have some normals for that. Okay, cool. And yeah, I do have a tiling amount, so I'll just put that up, and a smoothness value, which I forgot to plug in, so great, I'll just do that now. So smoothness. Okay, that's all good. Crazy smooth. So yeah, now let's get on with the actual tutorial. The reason everybody's here. So let's just jump straight to the Flipbook node, because this is the thing that was causing a lot of problems for people. And let's just give ourselves even more space actually. I'm going to be using the same texture sheet that I was using before, and I will be providing this. So let's just get actually up here, so we'll get another texture 2D, we'll just call it like ripple sheet or something. Get that here, and then again with the texture sample texture even. Feed that into there, and this is a normal map. So then we'll feed that into the UVs, and the texture that I'll use, in fact, let me just ignore some of this for now. So I'm just going to, actually no, I won't. So I'll go straight with the normal blend. So we'll actually blend the normals of these two. And so that will actually go into there. So yeah, the one I'm going to be using, I think, if I've named it correctly, yeah, this one, the ripple sheet. Yeah, so I will be providing this in the description of the video, so you don't have to worry about that. But if we take a look at this, I mean, it's, no, of course, sorry, I keep doing things the wrong way around. You want this to be the other way, so the Flipbook will come into the UVs of your sheet, and then we'll plug that into normals, or rather the normal blend, and then into normals. So yeah, sorry, just the wrong order there. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. We'll do some stuff later to control like the strength of this, but so essentially this is my ripple sheet, which at the moment is just kind of across this whole thing as a 1x1, but these are all frames of animation. There's 16 frames in total. So in the Flipbook node here, I would set mine to 4x4. If you're using like a different thing, then you want to make sure your X and Y matches up, your width and height rather. So now if I were to save that after doing just the 4x4, you can see it is now just displaying one of these frames. In fact, it's displaying the first frame of my sheet, and so we want it to cycle through. And this is where a lot of the problems come from. I think there's two major problems with this workflow, and this is the first one. So you might try to use something like a time multiplied by, then we'll just get a vector. No, how about a vector? Vector 1. Might as well convert this to a property. Let's call this speed. And we'll plug that into there. And so if we were to just put this into the tile, which you'd have thought would be, you know, like the cycle amount, I'll show you what happens. Although if you're watching this, you probably already know what happens, and that's why you're watching this. But yeah, there we go. So it just kind of scrolls through it, which is it's weird. But an amazing commenter by the name of OneCloud. I think he has a profile picture of a cat, which is always good. Or she, I don't know, I have no idea. They gave me a little bit of a tip, which was just basically to introduce a round node. And so that is what I will do. So go to round and just feed that after you multiply into tile. Then save that out. And there you go. So now, I mean, the speed is low. Essentially, this can be referred to as a frames per second rather than speed. So much like OneCloud suggested, actually, I will rename this to FPS. So I'll just quickly save that. And if I just go and grab my material now over here. So because I have 16 frames of animation, if I were to put my FPS up to 16, then it will cycle through like all frames. So it will do one cycle in 1 second, you know, which is pretty cool. So, you know, obviously if I were to do 8 frames per second, then it's going to do half of my sheet in a second. So it would take 2 seconds to complete. So, you know, I'm sure I don't need to explain that. So I'll keep it on 16 for now. Should be okay. And so this is where we kind of we encroach on the second part of the problem. Oh, also, before I forget, a lot of people were commenting saying that they couldn't preview their sort of animated textures unless they were playing the game, and it's just this thing here. So if you just enable that, then you'll have this working. So yeah, that's all good. Yeah, okay, so moving on to the actual you know, the thing that is taking me forever to just get to, the tiling of the Flipbook node. And I've been looking around a bit, and I've seen some people come up with their own kind of solutions, and it's all a bit weird. But so let's just let's see, get a new vector 1, and we'll just call this ripple tile. And then pretty standard stuff, we'll just introduce tiling and offset. So we put that into tiling, and oh, make sure it has a default of 1. Always gets me. There we go. So yeah, if I stick this into the UVs, you'll see what happens when we increase the tiling of these ripples. Okay, there we go. So ripple tile, I'll put that up to 2. You can see that as they tile, it kind of like the sequence goes a bit crazy. I don't know. I mean, it's not playing it in reverse. I don't quite know what's happening. But if you have seen my tutorial on this for the Amplify shader editor, you know that we basically feed this tile node into 2 fracts, and then we kind of just append them together. And so obviously, you know, in this one, you'd probably try to use 2 fractions and then use a combine, but for those of you that have tried it, it doesn't actually work. But the solution, which I stumbled upon last night after just half an hour of tinkering with this thing, it's a lot simpler than I thought it would be. It's if you just get a fraction node and just add it to like after the tiling and offset, and then just feed that straight into the UVs, it fixes everything. There we go. And I would imagine this is probably the part of the tutorial where everybody just leaves, because those are basically the 2 main things that I think people would have had an issue with. But I'll continue on anyway, just so it looks a bit more like it did before. So yeah, we'll get the tiling up a bit, not that much. Oh, I don't know, 4 or something. And let's give ourselves a little bit more space, because we're going to continue with some stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate these ripples, change the scale of them, and then offset, just so it's not, so the tiling isn't as noticeable. And I think I'm basically just going to copy all of these plus the sample texture 2D and just move this up, and yeah, let's give ourselves more space. And we're going to use the same ripple texture for this, so just feed that one straight into, if it will let me, feed that one straight into there. And let's see, so over here, we do still want them to be the same speed, but so the tiling will change a little bit. And actually what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to introduce a divide. So rather than having like two separate properties, I'll just divide, we'll try just by 2 for now. We'll stick that into tiling. So we're going to get basically some other ones that are going to be twice the size once I actually hook it up. So let's do a normal blend. And the other thing we want to do is obviously offset them a bit, but we'll do that in a second. So yeah, normal blend, and then we'll get that into there. So now we're going to have 2 of these normal maps blended, and then blending with the actual normal map of our the base. So let's save that. Okay, yeah, pretty cool. Might not even need to offset it, but I think I will. Maybe I don't know, 0.3, 0.6 or something. I think in the amplify tutorial I exposed this as a property, and then first I was basically tweaking with the values and then remembering what they were and coming back in or something like that. I don't know, but for this one, ShaderGraph actually takes ages to save. It takes me so long to actually edit these things because I have to constantly cut out all the bits where it's just loading. So I'll just 0.3, 0.6, maybe 0.3, 0.3. Okay, maybe that's okay, maybe not. I recommend kind of playing around with it. But yeah, so the other thing that's kind of missing, well, the main thing that's kind of missing is for the amplify one, we were kind of controlling the strength of this normal map with this like noise mask that was sort of animating, which kind of just, it helped break up the tiling a bit. So we're going to essentially do the exact same thing here. So I'll leave this as it is, and we'll just kind of come down and we'll introduce a simple noise. Not a noise. I think there's something better. Yeah, okay, a Veroni. So this will work nicely. I'll leave that open actually as the preview. And basically what we want to do is kind of just animate this value, so it's just this stuff kind of moving around, and this will act as the strength for our normal map. And then you can mess with like the cell size as well, like essentially how many there are. I'll probably leave it at about 6. You could expose this property. For the sake of the tutorial I won't, but I will just introduce again with some time, and then we'll multiply this by a vector, vector 1 to be precise, convert that to a property, and it should be over here, and we'll call this come on now, call this I don't know, like maybe just mask speed, mask variant, mask whatever. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, we'll put the default at least 1. So yeah, we'll multiply time by our speed and put that into the angle offset, and so now this will continuously kind of move, and obviously if you use a higher value it will move quicker. Pretty neat. Yeah, so this is what we're going to be using to control the scale of our 2 ripples. So we have here the normal blend, and so ideally we want to introduce these scales happening before we plug it into this blend. So let's just get normal scale, normal strength. Sorry, I think Amplify calls it scale. Yeah, so we'll feed that one into there, and then we'll just copy paste this guy, and we'll feed him into there, and now we have 2 empty strength inputs, which is just going to be this. And let's actually just tidy this up a bit so we can try and squeeze this actually in the middle. Okay, that should be fine. So yeah, out into, wait, oh, where did my, okay, there they are. Okay, go back a little bit more. Out into the strength, and same for this one. And then, yeah, so we feed this now into the normal blend, and then the same for this other normal strength. And if I were to just hit save now, it should be quite obvious. Yeah, okay, so you can see it kind of just, you know, it picks points that are stronger and then weaker, and it kind of just keeps animating through. Obviously, if you were to just look at like one area in particular, you'd still notice it's tiling still. You know, it's the same ripples that are appearing in the exact same place, but the idea, of course, is just to help kind of minimize that. So if you were using this on the floor in a game and your character was just running past, then, you know, chances are you might not notice. That said, you could probably do something like maybe with some kind of offset, so you'd set it so that every time, it would have to be kind of based on your FPS. So for example, mine is at 16, so you could specify something somewhere to say, basically after it completes a full cycle, in this case it would be, you know, after 16 frames, perform an offset by like 1 or something, you know, and then nobody would ever be able to tell that you were using tiles. So it's pretty cool. It's one way that you could do it. I don't actually know if it works. That's just a theory. So I mean, you know, try it, let me know. Yeah, okay, so the other thing is we just want to actually create a slider that controls the strength of all of these. So, you know, you might not want the rain appearing all the time. And again, this has to happen, I think, even before the normal strengths. So we'll just kind of put that there. And essentially, if something comes straight out, what have I... Oh, it's a bit weird. If I put the cells, shouldn't have done that. That should go into there. Ah, interesting. Yeah, so I wonder what the difference is actually. All right, now's not the time. So yeah, we're going to multiply this Veroni that we're doing just by another vector 1. And this one we'll just call, well, we'll convert it to a property. And we'll call it just ripple strength. Should be all good, and we'll just plug that into the multiply that we just made. And now this will feed into our normal strengths. So number 1 and number 2. And if we set the default as 1, just hit save on that. Okay, there we go. You probably do want to actually turn this into a slider. Yeah, max 0 to 1. Just hit save on that again. So now it's a slider at least. So you can come down and you can reduce the rain to nothing. You know, you can also do something with the smoothness here. So that could be, you know, the floor as it is. You could start introducing the rain, and then as you're introducing the rain, you're increasing the smoothness, and then also you kind of just bring down like the color of your texture. You know, that would be the sort of animated process from being dry to becoming wet. Yeah, and so unless I'm forgetting something, that's pretty much it. You may have seen in the start of this tutorial though, there was like some extra puddle stuff happening, and that I will show you right now. Okay, yeah, so with this one, if you look a bit closer, there is actually a normal map that's kind of moving. In fact, if I were to just get rid of my ripple strength up there, so now there's no ripple, so it's just basically just a normal map that's panning through. I was a bit lazy, so it's only going one way. If you look at my previous tutorial on this using Amplify, we do have it going 2 ways, which, you know, looks a lot better. But yeah, so that's basically all I've done here. If I just expand this out, this is I mean, pretty much all of this is the tutorial that we've just done. And then all I did was just kind of feed through, this is my other normal map, the puddles, which is just like some random, almost like a cloud-based image that I got off the net, which I then turned into a normal map. Yeah, time multiplied by a property, which is the speed, you know, like how fast this puddle will move. And again, you know, like your tiles, tiling and offset, sample stuff, you know, this is all pretty normal. And then again, you know, normal strength to just control the actual puddle, because at the moment I think it's quite low down. So that's with like no puddle, and then you can kind of increase this even to like crazy amounts. It doesn't look as good if it's just one texture, but you know, you should look into sort of panning it the other way, similar to kind of how we did the you know, the duplication of the ripples over here. You know, it has its own controls. We just happen to be using the same properties, but that's, you know, that's kind of how you would use the same texture twice, but you'd have one basically offsetting in a different direction. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I'm not sure there's anything else left to cover. I hope this has proved useful. I know there have been some people that have been struggling with this, but yeah, okay, there we are. It's been a long time coming, but finally managed to find some time to convert this over to ShaderGraph. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I will see you in the next one.